Hello artists, I'm here for our final day on our cactus project. I have some crayons that we're going to be using, and we are going to finish up these cacti. We have learned how to draw different styles and types of cacti. We added details with a Sharpie by adding different needles and thorns, and making our bowl more interesting by adding some designs and patterns to that. And now we're going to add some color with crayons. Depending on where you are at, you may have a box of crayons that you are going to be using, or you may have a pile of old crayons that you are going to look for some colors in these. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to dig out all of the yellows, all of the greens, and if you can, blue, greens, and blues. So if you're working with the 8-pack of crayons, you are working with these 3 colors. And if you're working with a bucket of crayons, you are going to find all of them that you can. All right, so here are my choices that I have to work with: yellow, green, and blue, or I have a variety of yellow, greens, and blues. Lots of different values of yellow, greens, and blues. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that on one side of our project there is a lamp shining down on our project and making one side of all of our cacti a little bit brighter. You can choose to put it on the right side or the left side. You pick which one you're going to do. The other side is going to be darker, and we're going to be making a gradient. And a gradient is a slow, gradual change from one color to the other. I'm going to do one cactus with just my 3 colors that came in the 8-pack of crayons, and then I'll do the rest with my variety that I was given. So I'm going to start by picking my darkest color, the blue. All right, and I'm going to pretend that there's a sun sitting right up here. Let me make a little sun. Okay, I've added a little sun, and this sun is shining down on all of my plants, all of my cactus. So I'm going to start by putting blue on the side that's not getting hit with light. And I'm just going to gently color lightly with my blue. Just a little piece of the blue, about as wide as my finger, on all the sides that wouldn't get hit with the sun. Then I'm going to color a lot of it green, most of it green, and you're coloring lightly. If you press hard, here's what's going to happen. You won't be able to mix the colors, and your hand is going to get exhausted. It's going to get very tired trying to color all of this in with that same pressure that you are applying. So don't press too hard, take your time. You notice that I'm even holding up on my crayon a little bit. I'm not down here holding. That's going to make you press down harder. But if I hold up in the middle of my crayon, I can press lighter. I can put the green on top of the blue and make a nice blue-green color. And then this last piece that looks white, I'm going to add some yellow on here. And this is making a gradient. It's going from blue to blue-green, green to yellow-green, and then yellow. And the yellow is the part that's getting most of the sun. So you have to think about these in 3 dimensions and try to think about what parts will get the most sun. We're looking for a nice blend of colors here. It shouldn't be a stripe of yellow, a stripe of green, and a stripe of blue. That's not a gradient. All right, that's stripes. So we want to make sure that we're coloring lightly enough that we can blend the colors together. And repeat. So I'm going to try using the other values that I have for the rest of the project. Now, some of these might be mystery colors, so it might be a good idea to kind of test them on the back to make sure, that's purple, to make sure you're getting the color that you are expecting. All right, that looks a little bit darker. It's actually kind of a bright blue. So make sure you're testing those colors out to make sure you're getting what you want. Don't be afraid to try different values of green if you have different types of greens to use. Try using a light green with a dark green instead of, and change it up so they're not all green, green, green. They're all exactly the same thing. Add some variety in there. Even though we're using values of green, all right, which end up being, some are yellow green, some are blue green, we can still get a big range of colors in there. So if you got 3 different yellows, try adding all 3 yellows in there. And then blend them together. And by blending, I mean adding an extra layer of color, light color, to the top. Take your time, color each shape individually, and it will look awesome when you get done. All right, friends, there we go. I have added a variety of value to my project. That means I found all the different greens that I could, all the different yellows and blues to make this awesome, colorful cactus project. So those are our cactus, our cacti are colored in. Now we can go back to our crayon box or our bin of crayons and find some colors for the flowers, which are often pink or red. If you only have red, just color lightly with it. Otherwise, you can add pink or red flowers to your project if you added flowers to them. You can also layer and mix crayons. It doesn't have to just be one color of pink that you pick. You can mix them together. Next, we're gonna work on the dirt. And once again, we're not going to use just one. We're going to try adding a couple different colors in there. I found some brown and I'm going to color lightly with it. If you, when we were sharpieing, you added some detail to your dirt, adding a couple shadow lines in there, and we will enhance or make those shadow lines stand out a little bit more by going over them with an extra layer of brown, the value of brown. We can add some orange to make it look like, and yellow to make it look like sand. So I can go in with some yellow if I want to, and just add that extra layer, gives it an extra step of color. Different brown. I can go near the bottoms of all my plants and add some shadows. Just make it a little bit darker near the base or the bottom of where my plant is coming out of the dirt. And then we can have a lot of fun coloring in our bowl. I think I'm going to make the bowl back here, what color haven't I used? Maybe this purple color. This might be, the bowl will be a great chance to use colors that maybe you haven't, that are in the bin that you haven't had a chance to use. or some colors that are still left in your crayon box that you haven't had a chance to use. We don't want to make it look like a rainbow threw up or a unicorn threw up. We want to make sure that we're still using some control with our color choices. So for example, I'm going to color in just parts of my bowl, carrying some of that purple throughout the bowl. Or colored my bowl in using purples and this like lilac purple pink color. I also painted the rim of the bowl that would be showing on above the dirt in my project as well. Lastly, we're going to pick up one color for the table and one color for the wall. And you want to think about using colors that you haven't used yet. So picking green, yellow, or purple for either my wall or my table is not a good color choice because they're going to blend in with my objects that are already there. So I want to go and pick some colors that maybe I have not used yet. So I have some orange and some red that I think I'm going to use, and I'm going to color super lightly. This is a huge space that needs to be colored in. You're just going to color in super lightly. I'm going to color in the same direction as well, so I'm just coloring left to right. Taking my time as I get near my bowl to make sure I don't color into my bowl. If your name is in Sharpie, you can color over your name as well. Pressing lightly so you don't get exhausted, and you don't have to press, if you press super hard, you got to keep up that pressure for the entire time in order for the table to make sense. If I press lightly, and then it's not scribbling, you're not leaving a bunch of white spaces behind, you're just pressing lightly, putting less pressure down, then you can still color and get a nice flat looking color with your crayons. Now I'm going to pick a color to go around here, reminding myself that it needs to be something that I have not used yet because it's going to blend in. So I'm going back to my bin and seeing what color I haven't used yet. I have this orange that I have not used in my project yet, a red-orange color. I'm going to use that. This part's going to be a little more difficult. It's going to take a little bit of time because I have to color around and in between all of my cacti. So this part's going to take a little bit longer, so please take your time. Don't rush and scribble at this point. Now is not the time to scribble and ruin that beautiful project that you have been making. Lastly, I'm going to add a shadow underneath my bowl, and I'm going to go back to my purple or my blue color and add a little shadow underneath them. So remember, my sun was up here. I don't know where my sun went. I lost it. Oh, here it is. My sun was up here, which means the shadow that it makes would be on this side of my bowl. It's called a cast shadow. Ta-da! And there you have it, our finished project. We have spent days making our cactus, learning how to draw different styles of cacti, adding details with a Sharpie, including thorns, needles, and some patterns and designs down below. And then we used just crayons to make these beautiful gradients that slow gradual change from light to dark. We learned that a light source helps create different values in our project, making one side light and one side dark, and it also makes shadows. Don't forget to pick up all your crayons. There's a lot of them. Take care of all your supplies, put them away, and I can't wait to see what you made. I'll see you next week. Artist, I had so much fun creating with you today. I want to see what you made, so make sure you take a photograph of your assignment and turn it in on the Google form. That way I can see how it came out. I'm so excited! I will see you next week.